Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's going to blow your mind. History of medicine, the true history. Okay? And it's really going to blow your mind. But before we get there, welcome to Fitfam Podcast. This is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And this guy right here is Doug the Formulator.
And oh my gosh. Oh, before we forget, click the little, what is that thing? Yeah, the little bell.
Little bell. Yeah, so you can get notifications.
Boom. And please leave comments. We'd love to hear what you think.
If you don't like it, just move on.
Move on. But this one you're going to like.
You're going to like this one.
Oh my gosh. So we're going to be talking about the history of medicine. And you're like, well, history of medicine, that's, probably kind of boring. How's it going to blow our mind? But this is going to blow your mind. If you haven't heard this before, you ready to unpack this? It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I am ready to unpack this. Before we get started, I just want to kind of mention that Doug has been talking about this for decades. I mean, like 30 plus years, right?
Since 1990, yeah.
So how far? Math. Can't do it. But long time. So that's first and foremost. And now it's just becoming more mainstream.
Yeah.
Right?
Like people are understanding, probably because of who's speaking it. Yeah.
Well, probably because of who's speaking it, but also because of our outreach, like our ability to learn and know and get so many voices.
That's a good
right?
Point.
So,
yeah, because when I spoke this, what we're going to talk about right now, I was told not to speak it because a doctor on the team that I was working for said that that's not true and that's not the true history and don't speak that again or I'll bring it up to ownership. And it got really crazy for a while, even though all I was doing is speaking very specific history, dates, like we have the research behind it. And it's just that modern Western medicine didn't want to accept the truth of their history. And so
right. And I think also when you've studied and bought into a theory or a practice, when it's kind of become who you are and your identity and how you provide, then that can be that can give you an uneasy feeling.
Yeah,
right?
Unnerving.
But
what's cool is the reason we're bringing this up today is our new Surgeon General, Dr. Casey Means, phenomenal lady. She actually spoke this history. And so now all the critics saying that's not true history is like, wait, our U.S. Surgeon General, medical doctor, spoke this history. And now also with AI, right, with, ChatGPT and Grok, that you can actually do some deep research. People are going, wait a second, this is the absolute truth. What these holistic people have been saying all along is the true history. We just didn't even really believe it. And so it's really changed the ball game and super excited. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
So picture this. It's the early 1900s, right? And this is what's going on in America in the early 1900s. It was actually really cool. I'd love to get back to this. And it was in America during that time, all kinds of medicine of treating people to help them heal was being practiced. From naturopathy, from chiropractic, from, yes, Western medicine. People are like to learn more about antibiotics and drugs and things like that.
And important medical history.
Yeah.
And, valued. 100%. Like it's to neglect like the importance of medicine is ridiculous.
Yeah, and what's funny though is the word medicine meant anything to help heal the body. Right now, when we say medicine, by law, it's specifically Western medicine. So it's funny that we're even still saying that.
Yeah.
But, like how to do surgeries, different things that save your life.
Right.
Like we're the best on planet Earth, meaning we, America. And in the 1900s, we're starting to figure that out, right? We started to figure out how to help save more lives and help situations that were extreme. And that was happening. But at the same time...
Which is noble.
Which is very noble. We need it. But at the same time, the naturopaths, the nutritionists, the chiropractors, all these people were helping people actually stay healthy and not get sick. And many times when they got sick, like, hey, your lifestyle's off a bit, let's fix that. And that was a form of medicine that was happening at the same time. So it was this mixed bag, but it was awesome because then you can go to who you needed We just had someone today that broke their elbow, and like we didn't send them to
It's not
the
funny.
nutritionist
Somehow
or
Doug's
anything else.
laughing. It's
No, it
not,
wasn't funny.
it's
but
not funny.
I was thinking funny because like there's no way
Yeah.
that person should
Yeah,
come
yeah,
to
yeah.
me or to someone like that. It's like we sent them immediately
Great point.
Right.
To the hospital.
to the hospital. Okay, so there is a need, but that's what was going on, right? So that was the state in 1900s. Then what happened?
Yeah, so this is really cool because this is a story of, power. It's a story of money, but it's also a story of kind of a missed opportunity for holistic health,
That's a really
right?
good point, yeah.
So we're going to talk about the Roccafellars. We're going to talk about the Flexner report and how they shaped modern medicine.
So
Also, of course, Doug's already mentioned he wants to talk about Dr. Casey Beans. So.
yeah, okay, so like 1900, right? So you have this guy named Rockefeller, and he was known for oil. Right? He was this big tycoon in that, and
right. So like hands down, richest man in America, right?
Absolutely.
Like maybe the richest man in history.
Yeah, it wasn't just America. We're talking about, as far as we know, richest man in history.
Yeah. So. Okay. So let me go to my notes. Around 1900, Rockefellers, like it was the oil empire, right? Standard Oil controlling 90% of America's refineries.
Which is crazy, 90%. So all of the oil, all the refineries, everything, they own it.
Yeah, no doubt. It's crazy. But he's not just about oil. He sees kind of a new frontier, right? And that's in the petrochemicals, right?
Petrochemicals. Well, and then what does that mean? That means that he found that by using petroleum-based, like glycoprotein, a lot of these different things that are petroleum-based, that they can mix them with medicines. And he thought, wait a second, I can mix my oil product into medicine, and now I have a whole nother income. And they actually using a lot of the petroleum that was waste. And all the stuff that I'm making nothing on, now I can make money on. And he saw that, right?
Right. So
he really took off the pharmaceutical industry. It's for him like, okay, wait, these drugs that they're starting to invent, I can use these petrochemicals to, make them last longer, to be able to be more stable per se, so that heat, different things. And that's when he says, wait, I can have my hands in the pharmaceutical industry. So now the 1900s is like pharmaceutical, yes, but everything else, when people understand the difference, that, most of the time, if you're not feeling good in that, doesn't have anything to do with being a drug deficiency, that it's lifestyle. He sees that he could do the pharmaceutical side and start making money.
Yeah. So in 1908, the Carnegie Foundation, backed by Rockefeller's money, hires this guy named Abraham Flexner.
And Flexner was the problem.
He's not a doctor.
Not a doctor, educator.
Right.
And it really was a big deal, because you got to look, and I'll kind of put myself, if I'm Rockefeller, and understand Rockefeller has zero morals with anything except for wanting to make money, right? Just money, money, money. And you see that the large part of this medicine group in the world, like people want to be healthy and all that, is natural. Then you're like, wait, I want to make more money. Why don't I get rid of all the natural people, all the nutritionists, all the naturopaths, all the chiropractors, anything to do that's telling people about lifestyle, and make it to where everyone just has to do the pharmaceutical route. That was his mindset, and that's where Flexner came in.
Okay, so he's an educator, and he's tasked with evaluating every medical school that's in the U.S. and in Canada. In 1910, he drops the Flexner report, and it's a bombshell. So the report says that there's too many doctors, too many medical schools, and that holistic practices like
you drop the nutrition,
perfect,
chiropractic,
all of the natural remedies, they're labeled as unscientific.
Yeah. In fact, they created a word, or labeled a word to that stuck, called quackery.
Yeah, Doug hates that.
Well, I'll tell you why I hate that. Because they said all of a sudden these things that actually are the reason of people getting sick, right? A lack of eating healthier, exercise, supplements, all that. It's easy to tell people, it's not your fault. It's not because you're being stupid with your lifestyle. really people are telling me that they're quacks, right? So it's easy to do that because you want to hear that it's some special thing.
I think sometimes, and we all can probably recognize this at different times in our life. It's easier to not have to accept accountability for the choices that you're making and for somebody to say, it's not your fault. It's hard to accept accountability sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of an easier pill to swallow. Like,
Absolutely.
oh, not your fault, and I have an answer.
It's an easy sell.
Yeah.
It's an easy sell.
Yeah.
And so, but what the Flexner report did and why it's so bad, that's why people in our arena cringe at the Flexner report, is because the Flexner report was what they took to Congress. And they took it to Congress and said, hey, look, all of these nutritionists, exercise physiologists, if you want to call them trainers, chiropractors, naturopaths, all these people that are helping people, live a healthier lifestyle are quacks. And the only thing that really should be called medicine is people that prescribe drugs. That's medicine. Everything else isn't medicine. And at first Congress didn't buy it, but then through lobbyists, right, because the Rockefeller funded it, they got it passed. And this is the craziest thing. Congress passed the law that medicine is only people that prescribe drugs, medical doctors. And the Flexner report went further, and I think we'll get into it. But at that point, the deal is that Congress bought it, and it automatically brought in Western allopathic medicine as the only true medicine, and it started downgrading all of the natural things. In fact, there was I'm veering off a little bit, but when I first got started, and in the early 90s, there was a group called the Quack Watch Group, and supposedly they were put out there to be like, hey, let's go find all these people that are really quacks and doing things wrong. And at first I'm thinking, oh, these are probably pretty good. They're going to go after all these true quacks out there, true snake oil salesmen and people that are going too far. But it wasn't. It was a funded group by pharmaceutical companies, but we didn't even know about it for decades, that their job was to go after anyone making waves and helping people heal naturally or teaching about the Flexner report, about the true history of medicine. And I actually fell on that list. And,
you sure did, you little quack.
And what was crazy is it was like a badge of honor back then, because the badge of honor is that Linus Pauling, Nobel Prize winner, was on it. All the top health professionals, Dr. Atkins, everyone was on it. It was almost got to a point where like, yay, finally made Quack Watch. But in the normal mainstream, it was like, oh, it's easy to label them that, right? It's easy to label them as a quack because it wasn't Western allopathic medicine because of the Flexner report.
Right. So, Rockefellers didn't just stop there with the whole Congress deal, right? He and Andrew Carnegie started pouring millions of dollars into medical schools, but they only teach, they can only teach allopathic medicine. Right. So if you wanted the cash, you had to ditch all the natural remedies, right?
That was it.
That's just how it went. So you had to ditch courses on nutrition, herbal remedies, lifestyle, all of it. Supplements. So by the 1920s, holistic medicine is almost erased, right, from medical education. So instead of learning, in the medical system, instead of learning all of the natural ways to heal the body and the medicines that are needed, they're only taught medicine.
Yeah, and then it even came to pay, because then medical doctors have said, don't be on your own. You go into the hospitals, and by the way, the hospitals, the only way you get paid is through the insurance companies that, again, Rockefeller and them were a big part of, and the conglomerate. And so now medical doctors, weren't being taught, like you said, anything about nutrition, not what a carbohydrate is, not about vitamin C, not about, the exercise, helping, none of that. But also they weren't given any ability to recommend or prescribe vitamins because they're only getting paid based on what the insurance companies would pay for, which were the drugs from the pharmaceutical companies. You with me? So they can't make money doing it. They're not taught it. And that's the, 1920s. So from the 1920s on, and I think medical doctors, the high majority of them, when they start school, man, their heart's like, I want to help people. Like, I truly want to help people.
Oh, no, for
I'm going to
sure.
become a medical doctor. And for the part of like breaking bones and, all that stuff, that's what they do. But from actually curing disease, they're not taught it. It's not their fault.
Right, right. So research shows that 80% of chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, cancer, they're all linked to our lifestyle choices, right? The foods that we eat, the exercise that we get, environmental toxins, stress, all of those things. So thanks to the Flexner report, medical schools obviously barely teach nutrition or lifestyle. Do they even, back then, did they even teach any?
No, like that's the thing, is that I know that even in the 90s, it got worse after that, but even in the 90s, we did research and went in and found out that at max there was a 1 hour course of all 8 years, 1 hour on nutrition. And it was basically that nutrition is about carbs, proteins, fats, da da da. When patients bring them up, tell them that's not what's going to help them. The drug's going to help them. So they taught them enough to be able to speak, but not even really about it, which is crazy.
Got it. Yeah, no, for sure.
So that's really where this correlation with us at Fitfam, with optimal health systems, our personal lives comes into play, because again, for the first time in history, our U.S. Surgeon General spoke this history. She did it on, Joe Rogan's podcast. She's done it, personally as a Surgeon General. And now this information's come to light, and it's really
even and her story, and I won't get it right, so I won't really go into it, but her story is really fascinating. Having gone through all of the schooling that it takes to become a medical doctor, and how involved she was, and how she was doing procedure after procedure after procedure, but then it finally is it hit her on this deep level, like I'm performing all of these, and I think she was maybe like a nose throat specialist, maybe something like that. Anyways, and she it just finally hit her. These people are coming to me, and I'm helping them at this point, but why are they at this point? Right? Exactly. Like what is the story behind when they actually are at the point that they need surgery, and what could we do to not have to get to surgery? How could we fix it? So her story is really a fascinating one, and one that would not be easy. You pour not only tons of finances into going to medical school, but you pour your heart and soul and hours.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Your life is just dedicated to that. So to have a paradigm shift like that, and to know everything that you've been working for years in time and money and sweat, and it's all going to change.
Yeah.
That's
tough.
That's tough.
And that's why we love our holistic medical doctors, the ones that come to us and say, look, teach us, they're humble enough to say, teach us nutrition, where supplements fit in, how to read blood work nutritionally, and that. There's beautiful people. But, let's talk about the consequences, right? Okay. So you have the 1920s on. So really, was there consequences, or are we better off in America because of that? Well, the truth of the matter is, just look at the research. Chronic disease has skyrocketed and is still skyrocketing. What wasn't really prevalent back then, heart disease, diabetes, those are the top two causes now of death, and yet they weren't even a factor. So the things that were being handled with lifestyle, because lifestyle is being taught, now that it's not being taught, have skyrocketed. And you have all these major chronic diseases, obesity causing major diseases. It's almost like, you're not even supposed to talk about yet, when it's the number one cause of disease is the excess body fat. And all of these things, it's absolute correlation as to the mistake that America made by allowing the Flexner report to be passed through Congress, to be taught to medical schools. And it's time really to reverse it, and it's a $1 trillion industry. So you're going to see that fight big time.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're headed towards it. I think it's already here. I mean, this is. Look at your face. It's so happy.
I'm super happy, but it's going down, and it's going down where a lot of people are going to be taken out, and I don't necessarily mean like physically, although I think some probably will. There's not going down without a fight. You're not going to now say, okay, this $1 trillion industry, and these people that obviously didn't care about the morals of health and people reaching optimal health back then, don't care now. They're not going to go down.
Right. But I also kind of want to point something out, and we had this discussion when we were eating lunch today, that it's not like the medical system and those that have, I don't want to say bought into, but are a part of it and have learned all that they need to learn are bad people.
No.
Right? That's what's so tricky about the situation is there are many, 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 many people in the medical field that
We have
truly,
great friends.
truly want to help others
Yeah.
and want to get them well. The thing that it comes back to is that we all need to be our own advocate for our health.
We all need to be our own health professional. And that's where, you know, you say, oh, you can't be your own health professional. And that's where the big pushback comes from. And that's the truth, though. You need to be your own health professional. You care more about your health than anyone else in the world. And you need to be able to say, look, I want to assemble my team. My team should have nutritionists, it should have trainers, it should have my medical doctors, someone to get cut that I go to, someone to call in serious needs of maybe a pharmaceutical drug's needed. And then I decide who to go to based on what I need in the moment. Oh my gosh, well, I'm not feeling as good energy or my blood sugar's off a little bit. Yeah, go get tested, get the test done. But majority of the time, it's like, okay, my lifestyle's off and I need to fix that. I better get a little more accountability with my nutrition or my trainer or things like that.
Yeah, too often we're looking at the disease itself or the ailment or how we're feeling and trying to fix that instead of trying to go back and decide what caused that, right? Go to the very beginning. And that's what we were also talking about with everything. Instead of trusting an establishment, go to the very beginning and why and how was it created?
Absolutely. And so here's the big rub. All right. Here's what's going to happen. My prediction on it, I'm hoping this is it, and I feel real confident about it, is because of what you said. There's so many extremely good people that truly got into medicine for the right reason, that even though the overall establishment of the American Medical Association being funded by pharmaceutical companies and they being the biggest problem, even though that's there in their trillion-dollar industry, the people themselves are good people that now will look back and say, wow, I wasn't taught about Roccafellars and the Flexner report and all of that my Surgeon General now is speaking. And I need to do self-evaluation. And I think they're going to come through. And we're already seeing it, right? We're already seeing a lot of it. But I think it's going to come through in giant waves. The problem is that if you're a medical doctor and you went through 12 years of schooling and you're like, wait a second, I make my total income coming from the insurance companies paying me through the hospital on that, it's tough because now you've got to become an entrepreneur and go out and have your own clinic and go the lifestyle route also on top of when the pharmaceuticals are needed. And that takes some guts. That takes a big move. We know how hard it is in the entrepreneurial world. And but I think it's going to happen in a wave like we've never ever seen in America since the 1900s, because it's right, it's true. We know that it's not just people speaking these things, that it's true history. And because medical doctors at their heart went into this for the right reason, I think the shift's going to happen in a huge way over, starting now and over the next few years. And we're going to see this fight against this big pharmaceutical giant and us winning, because that's the only time we've ever won is when the people stood up, when this grassroots movement. Just like when we passed the DSHEA laws in the 1990s, the pharmaceutical companies stripped out because we beat them. We said, no, people need to have access to vitamins, to whole vitamin C and herbs and that. And they thought they were going to wipe the slate, but we stood up. And I see the same thing happening now in 2025 through like 2028. And that this movement we're going to see now like we did in the 1990s, and couldn't be more excited, but better buckle your seatbelt.
Yeah, I love that. I love what you just said. And I also love the concept of, it's too many times I think we're fighting for the wrong thing. Sometimes, in this profession, we're like, no, this way of eating diet is the best. No, this diet is the best. No, when we could all come to some really easy, we could all be on the same page really easily. Okay, let's just agree to disagree with how many proteins, carbs, and fats I'm supposed to eat, and maybe just talk about the sources where I get them. And that those sources should be the cleanest sources possible. Even, this is going to sound a little crazy, but even our pre-packaged, right? Mm-hmm. Processed food can be cleaner. It just is what it is. And it used to be. And I think that's kind of how and why can't we all just come to that? Why can't we start there? Let's get our food, the thing that we all need, as clean as we can, even if there's plenty of us that are still going to go to prepackaged foods, why don't we work on getting it as clean as possible? And then we can have these discussions about which plan is best for us long term.
Absolutely. That's the key. And I think that's where a lot of the medical community succeeded, was because even back in the 90s, I would go to conferences and they would pit us against each other, right? I was there against Atkins, against the vegan, against the raw food,
Well,
against the zone
that's
diet.
how you keep us all
and it kept everyone fighting when, like you said, look, single whole foods, you should be able to know each food that's in whatever you're eating in that meal, even in the package. Just come back to that, get everyone eating whole foods, getting them moving more, take your supplements based on blood work or testing so that it's objective, that you can see improvement. And that's going to solve the high majority of all disease based on the research, not just speaking it, right? The last Surgeon General we had that was any good was C. Everett Koop, and he said the same thing, right? It was like, it's all based on lifestyle. And so really excited about that. And, this history, hopefully for a lot of you, and we ask you to forward this episode more than any other episode, forward this to friends that don't know this history. And then even refer them to our Surgeon General to see what she said on X and on even Joe Rogan. And you're going to see her coming out more speaking this. But get familiar with this history. And the takeaway is for everyone to take responsibility for their own health. And I think you need a health professional in your world that is your core person that you go to, that then they can reach out and say, you know what, it's time for you to go to this person or this person, meaning whether it's a nutritionist, your trainer, your chiropractor, your naturopath, sometimes even your medical doctor, but get that core person that's open to say, you know what, this sounds like a lifestyle issue, or this sounds, and so go to your trainer, go to your nutritionist. Oh, this sounds like a real serious medical issue. You better go to your medical doctor and get a little more testing, or whatever it might be. But get that person in your life if you're not wanting to be that, and your go-to person that truly will lead you to the right field that you need at that time to fix issues and to really reach optimal health.
Amen.
And so let us know what you think about this history, whether you agree or not. Try to disagree. But anyways, it's this history, but really more about what to do about it. Like the history is the history, right? We just feel that it should go back to the 1900s where you have all of this, but up to date today with all the new technologies and how far we've come, but with people understanding that lifestyle is the key and that they look at their nutritionists, their trainers, their naturopaths, their chiropractors as the health professionals that can help get them there and fix the actual cause of disease.
Amen again.
As always, this is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And this is Doug the Formulator.
Peace out.
See ya.